Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. My name is Valerian and here I'm showing you how to get the best shape of your life and transform your body in just 100 days. From obesity to fitness model shape. And today I'm going to show you eating plan for people who want to lose weight. Are you excited? Hope you are, because it's definitely going to be a really special video. It's going to be kind of the introduction video where I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the diets, myths and common misconceptions that keeping you away from your goals. I'm going to show you my eating plan as well as the food that I like, and you'll be quite surprised because it's definitely not going to be a broccoli, chicken and rice. Because the number one priority for me is to make you and myself feel comfortable, enjoy your life, and at the same time get the best possible result. Last time we walked through these fat burning workouts and found out that they are not exist. Each training protocol has its own purpose to make you stronger, improve your mobility, speed, power, and etc. And pretty much the same goes with all diets. None of the diet is made to burn your fat. And you know, a lot of people who's far away from that fitness and health stuff have this conception that the diet means always starving, or the diet is always some restrictions and hunger. And basically where this is all coming from, let me explain you. From exactly the same place where all those fat burning workouts came from. We have some problem that we didn't fix for many years and now we want to solve it as fast as possible. Therefore, it makes sense to assume that the less calories you eat, the less food you eat, the faster you will lose the weight. Ideally, to bring your calorie consumption down to zero or even below, because you probably heard about that magic type of food with a negative calorie content. Remember thermic effect of food? We have some food that requires more calories to digest this food than the actual calories in that food. In other words, you ended up on a desert island, and by eating this food, you will die from hunger faster rather than you hadn't eaten anything at all. But when it comes to diets, we also like to punish ourselves. How many of you here, after some, massive meal or some celebration, you lay down with a full stomach and you think, boy, I gotta do something about it. No, from tomorrow, I'm starting a new life. From tomorrow, I'm going on a diet. That's it. New life, new me. That's it, baby. And your meal plan looks like melted water with a salad, but with avocado, obviously. It doesn't matter there's a lot of fat and empty calories, but it's healthy, right? Enough of the jokes. You want to lose weight as fast as possible. Perfect. I understand you and I want it too. That's why I'm here. But there's such thing as physiology. In other words, your body doesn't care what you want. I always say, no matter how much you believe in yourself, how much motivation you have inside, you will give up. Because your body doesn't care if you want to look great on that picture or you want to be attractive and confident. The main purpose of your body is to keeping you alive. With 50% of the body fat? Yes, but alive today. That's why I don't believe in motivation, I don't believe in mantra and visualization, I believe in science. Science is the key to all the secrets of your life. That's why today I'm going to give you the most practical nutrition lesson based on the science and real experience. So you're not going to waste your time anymore. And all I ask in return is to smash that like button underneath, as well as to share this video with your friends. And by the way, about the motivation, if you're watching this video, you already have some motivation to change something in your life. So all you need right now is to know how and what exactly you should be doing. And that's why I'm here. So make yourself comfortable and let's begin. Right, diet. What is a darn thing? First of all, I hate word diet because it reminds me another word if you cut off the last letter. In reality, any structured meal plan can be considered a diet. Did you know that even sumo wrestlers are on a diet? No, really, they're on a really strict diet if they want to compete. Therefore, the conception of the diet has nothing in common with hunger. And please take a note, any structured meal plan, we gotta structure everything. That's why all this crap about eating whatever you feel, your body will tell you what it needs. I will tell you what your body needs. It needs to eat more and move your ass less. No, really, why do we need to structure everything? Because in bodybuilding are exact same rules as building a house. Let's say you want to build a house, but you don't want to build accordingly to the plan. You want to build how you feel, based only on your subjective opinion. You don't want to know how and which materials you need for your house. You just pick whatever you like, whatever looks pretty to you. Would you like to live in this house? So why are you doing the same with your body? So we gotta organize everything, and we're gonna start with the market, because your candies in the kitchen did not appear from the air, right? So we have a few rules how we're gonna buy the food. They're not really strict rules, but for people with the wrong eating behavior, that's where we gotta start. We have such thing as merchandising. This science has more than 2,000 ways to make your purchase emotionally. For example, when you go in the grocery store, on the entrance there are always going to be vegetables and fruits to stimulate you with your smell of the coffee, pastries, and etc. All the essential products are always at the very end of the market, like the bread, milk, cheese, but the candy bars and chewing gums are always right at the exit. There'll be always nice, relaxing music, and the products are always getting shifted. It's not made for convenience, but to confuse you. Every time you go there and you see some new products and you buy them, buy something that you didn't plan. Therefore, I wouldn't bet on a person with wrong eating behavior and professionals in merchandising. That's why I created a couple of rules by following which you will achieve 80% of the success in your weight loss goals. Rule number 1, we always buy products when we're full to avoid making an emotional purchase. Don't try to tempt yourself by going in the market when you're hungry. There's been many studies that show that you buy up to 3 times more products when you're hungry compared when you're well fed. Number 2, food list. After creating your meal plan, you write down all the products you need into your list, and you buy according to your list. And if you see some yummy that you really need, you go back home, and next time you go to the market, you write it, you put it on your list. Deal? You not buy it right now. Number 3, we only eat food that we cook by ourselves. We do not buy ready-made products. There's always going to be imbalance in fats and refined sugars. They're running out of the shelf life, and they're getting added by the spices to make them that our brain goes crazy when you have a lot of fat, cheese, sugar, and spices. The products, the components that cannot find a lot in a natural food. So therefore, we do not buy frozen pizza, pasta, meat, sausages, and etc. There's always going to be imbalance in fats and carbohydrates. And number 4, last but not least, healthy food. There's really cool right now to eat healthy, but only few people really understand what's the point. The point is, by eating healthy, you can reach any type of obesity. So if you want to lose weight, just eating right is not enough. If you want to lose weight, we gotta start thinking in terms of what is reasonable and unreasonable. So here we have 2 types of dressings. Olive oil from Greek plantation with a vitamin E and no cholesterol, obviously. And we have some bad, unhealthy mayonnaise. What is more healthy? Well, obviously, it's going to be vegetable oil. But what is more reasonable to use on your diet when you need to reduce your calorie intake? More reasonable will be using mayonnaise, because here we have 250 calories and here we have almost 900 calories. It's basically pure fat. And even better, if we can dress some salad with Greek yogurt. Here we have 43 calories in 100 grams. You just add some spices and salt, and here you go. So you see what I mean? 43 calories in 100 grams and 900 calories. The difference is almost 20 times. So hopefully you got the point. So we have so many different diets: keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, Atkins diet. Which one we're gonna follow? None of them. If the diet has a name, it probably doesn't work. All we gotta do in the beginning is to change high-calorie-dense food to low-calorie-dense food. That's all. And it doesn't matter completely if you're having breakfast or not, how many times you eat, if you're eating carbs at night. At the end of the day, do you know what is the most important rule of a perfect diet? To be in a perfect shape all year long without the breakings. Number one rule is to feel comfortable while being in a calorie deficit. That's what our aim for now. The main problem of getting overweight right now is not because of your metabolism or something is wrong with your body. The only thing that is wrong is your mindset. If you're watching this video, everything is alright with your metabolism. Otherwise, you would lay down in hospital and would know about the diets way more than I do. The main problem of getting obese and fat in our days is to choose high-calorie dense food with a low nutrient profile. I mean, our body doesn't get it. We're not adapted yet for that amount of food that we see in grocery stores. This processed food, processed sugars, with a lot of empty calories and very little amount of nutrients that our body really needs. So our body doesn't get it and start producing more hunger hormones to make you eat even more food, and all the empty calories go to your fat. So that's why when I'm creating the eating plan for my clients, all I do is to take the food that they like and change to identical ones, but with a low calorie content and high nutrient profile. And you know what? They complain because it's too much. They cannot finish it. They feel full all the time, but in reality, they eat like 2 or 3 times less calories than they were eating before. And by the way, about the calories, do you really need to kind of count your calories, or maybe there's some other ways you can go? Look, personally, I hate counting calories. But at least once, we gotta count everything what is in our meal plan just to find out your starting point. Over time, you will learn how to select the products that your body really needs. For example, right now, I'm on a cautious diet. I eat whatever I feel like to. But because before, I've been on a diet for the last 10 years, I can determine the approximate amount of calories in the food that is in front of me. Because I know my body, my receptors are fresh, and I know the real taste of the natural products. But it comes with experience. You will be on a cautious diet, but right now we gotta count and measure everything. Back to the school. I know you don't like it, I know you don't have time for it, but my goal here is to not bullshit you and flatter your ego, but to give you real tools that work in the real world, even if you don't like it. So what do we know about the food? Food is energy, right? The calories. And from the physique perspective, doesn't matter where you get those calories from the chicken or from the candy bar. And that's where all these diet experts are appealing to. They say like, doesn't matter what you eat, you can eat burger and pizza. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, you're gonna be alright, you're gonna lose weight. And you know what? They freaking right, you will lose weight. But what kind of weight is gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be a fat? Are you really that naive? A lot of people think that it's way more easier to hold a diet when you can eat whatever you want. You can eat ice cream, pizza, burgers, you just put this in your total calorie intake a day and you're gonna be fine. It's way more comfortable on this diet, but in reality, it's completely the opposite. You're always going to be hungry, lack of energy, you're going to feel really bad. And I'm not even talking about the quality of your skin, of your hair, of your nails, of your body composition. That's why, for me, I'd rather go with an oatmeal and a piece of meat because I feel really full, I feel satisfied, I feel a lot of energy, rather than eat a little slice of pizza that I won't even notice. From the physique perspective, calories equals calories. But from the physiology point of view, it's two different conceptions. It's a massive difference in the way how you feel, how you look, what is going to be your body composition. It's pretty much the same with a house. Let's say you know that your house is going to be like 5,000 tons and all you need is to find the material on 5,000 tons. And doesn't matter if it's going to be a wood, a stone, or a jelly. You see what I mean? So the calories really matter in terms of your total body weight. But your body composition is all about the balance between macros, protein, carbs, and fat. And let's start with the most important macros, protein. Why do we need the protein, and do we really need protein at all? If you remember in my last video, I explained to you that when you exercise, you're stimulating your protein synthesis in your muscles. So when you're not having enough protein with the food, guess what your body is going to do? You start compensating the protein from your vital organs as well as your skin, collagen from your skin, your hairs, your nails, to feed your muscles. Your body that's smart. So if you exercise, if you're in a diet, you gotta have at least 2 grams of protein per 1 kilogram of your body weight, or 1 gram per 1 pound of your body weight. The protein is the most important macros for us. Is our building material. Without it, your body will fall apart. And the best thing about the protein that it has the highest thermic effect of food, up to 30% compared to fat and carbs, only 2 to 4%. So only by changing the ratio more in protein in your diet, you will burn extra calories basically by doing nothing. Which protein to choose? Basically, you can go with any type of protein. You can take a fish, chicken, meat, eggs, dairy, and you know, the different type of protein you will have in your nutrition, the more complete nutrient amino acid profile you will have. So it's going to be really great. However, side effect is going to be that you got to count every single time you eat something different. For example, right now I'm on low-fat diet. That means I'm going to buy some protein and basically any products where I have no more than 5% of the fat. So I cannot go with the pork, I cannot go with the beef because there's a lot of fat in it. So I go with the chicken, with the dairy, with the eggs. But you can decide which one is your favorite one. And by the way, about the fat, what do we know about the fat? Usually when you start dieting, you suggested to cut off the fat. So you ended up only with the chicken breast and egg whites, but no ham, no cheese, no egg yolks because there's saturated fat. But at the same time, you're dressing up your salad with the olive oil, you eat nuts like crazy, and you eat avocado. Obviously, we cannot be healthy without avocado. So we have saturated and unsaturated fat, or good and bad one. The good fat is all the oils, nuts, seeds, basically any vegetable fat, as well as omega-3, 6, 9. And the bad one, the animal fat, is really bad for you because it increases your cholesterol. And here's the question, do you know who has the highest cholesterol level? Vegans and vegetarians. If you're vegan, you can check your blood and see it, because when you're not getting enough cholesterol with the food, your body starts producing extra amount of cholesterol. So there are no good or bad fat. We need all types of fat. We need vegetable fat, we need animal fat for our needs. The only difference is amount, as always. But what I'm gonna be using in my fats, basically nothing. I'm not dressing my salads with the olive oil. I'm not eating nuts. I'm not eating avocado. It's just empty calories for me. But what about professional bodybuilders and fitness models? Why they put in so much attention into fats? Look, they have really low body fat percentage. So that's why it's really dangerous for them if they don't have enough fat. They have to eat a lot of fat because it's really important ingredient for your joints, for your heart, for your brain, for your central nerve system. But if you're obese like me, if you have a lot of excess weight, even if you cut off all the fat, right now nothing's gonna happen to you. But the only thing that I'm using for my fats is omega-3. About 4-5 grams a day is really important because this fatty acid is essential. Your body cannot produce it by itself. You can only get it from the outside, from the food. But never buy the supplement where you see omega-3, 6, 9. Why? Because in our life, in our food, there's a huge disbalance in between omega-6 and 9. For example, let's take this olive oil. The olive oil considered to be healthy. But if you look on the concentration of omega-3 in olive oil, it's going to be 1%. And the average person consumes about 20 times more omega-6 compared to omega-3. And when you have such disbalance, you have a lot of inflammation in your body. and inflammation creates more chances of diseases and autoimmune illnesses. That's why when you're on a diet, it doesn't make a lot of sense to add extra fat with the olive oil and the nuts. It's just empty calories. In 1 gram of fat, we have 9 calories, 2.5 times more than the protein and the carbs. And I'm gonna tell you that if you have fat products, you can easily go above your calorie maintenance. I can tell you in one meal, in just one meal, I can overcompensate the calorie deficit for the last 2 weeks. And the bad thing that I won't even notice it, because it takes a lot of time for our body to digest and absorb the fat. It takes about 3 hours. So that's why right now I'm on about 30 to 50 grams of the fat in my eating plan. And basically it's enough. And you will see, even if I use like fat-free products, I still have some amount of fat and the minimum amount of fat that my body requires in order to be fine. Right, carbs, our favorite nutrient. There's so many misconceptions and myths about the carbs. I mean, it's gotta be another video about the carbs only. Like the increase in your chances of getting diabetic. You cannot eat carbs at night because it spikes your insulin level and stops your fat burning abilities. That the fruits are good and the sugar is bad. And that's the main problem of obesity in our days. And you know what's funny? That everything's changing. 40 years ago, everyone blamed fat. There's a lot of cholesterol, so better go on a low-fat diet, you're gonna be healthy. And right now, everyone afraid of carbs. You know, it's really easy to find one product and, blame them in all the problems in your life instead of look at yourself and look in the problem in perspective. The reason why we have a cancer and diabetes and the cholesterol is not because of the carbs or fat, it's because of the complex problem, and the problem called obesity. Unfortunately, the obesity is not classified as a disease, so there's no symptoms to make you gaining fat from the air.
He's getting fatter. We can't stop it. Damn. Blood pressure 200 over 140. Oh my god! Oh my god, he's good!
Get out of here!
And that's really sad. Otherwise, you could blame someone else to make you obese. But a lot of people still doing this. They blame their genetic. They think, by eating some products, eating carbs, they get in not 4 calories, but they get in like 15 calories. Unfortunately, it's not true. Everyone is pretty much the same. Everyone have a pretty much the same metabolism. But why we have so many different people? Why we have some people who's getting fat basically from anything, from any bakery, and we have some people who can eat whatever they want and they still slim. Well, that's more about your psychology, your mindset, your lifestyle, your reward system, and that's what we're talking about in our 100-day transformation. Because if eating healthy and exercising would be enough, everyone would look great, everyone would be rich, look fit like fitness models, but it's not enough. There's so many more things we gotta go and understand how everything works in our body, in our brains. But anyway, let's get back to our topic. The problem is not the carbs, the problem is not the fat, the problem is amount. As always, if let's say you stop eating donuts or candies and you lost the weight, it's not because the problem was the donuts or candies. You just reduce the amount of calories you consume, that's all. And if you stop eating fast food, for example, pretty much the same. You just reduce the amount of calories and you lost the weight. But if it helps you, perfect, carry on. But when it comes to carbs, you can basically go with any carbs you want. You like glucose, you like sucrose, you like fructose, sugar, you can eat whatever you want, because for your body it doesn't matter, because your body will break any carb into the glucose molecule, into the glucose in your body. So doesn't matter if you eat 500 calories from the grains or 500 calories from the sugar, eventually everything's going to be a glucose. The glycemic index also doesn't make any difference to your total body weight. However, it makes difference for your emotions, for your energy level, for speed of your glycogen synthesis. But if you care only about the general weight, you can go with any carbs you want. As long as you're gonna be in a calorie deficit, again, the thermic effect of food doesn't make any difference to sugar or the grains. The only thing that's gonna be different is the speed, how fast your body get a glucose from that type of carb. But personally, I go with low glycemic carbs. I like a whole food. I like grains. It just makes me feel way more comfortable on the diet, way more saturated and full, and my energy level is pretty much stable. But again, if you care only about your total body weight, if you want to lose weight, doesn't matter which weight, you can go with any type of carbs you want. Personally, if I want to eat something sweet, for example, I can go with fruits, and you will see in one of my meals there's a lot of fruits, but again, it's nothing, you don't have to be afraid of the fruits, but be careful with juices, because the fructose is actually way worse than the glucose, and I'm gonna explain you why. But right now, what you gotta understand that if we need a protein for it's our building material, we need a fat, it's our first of all energy reserves, and we need the fat for our joints, for our immune system, for our central nerve system, for our brain, lungs, and etc. But when it comes to carbs, it's just pure energy. So when we start reducing the amount of calories, we're going to be doing them mainly with the carbs. So you can basically cut your carbs down to zero. Finally, let's cook something because I'm freaking starving. When it comes to cooking, I have really simple rules. First of all, it's gotta be fast. It takes no more than 30 minutes in the morning. Second of all, it's gotta be freaking tasty, because that's the number one problem when you're on a diet, right? Do you enjoy the food? And number three, it's got to be simple to cook. I don't like complicated receipts. If you like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to show you what I eat on a daily basis. So I'm going to start with my main meal. Basically, that's my protein for the day. And here's the problem. You know, I'm not supposed to have more than 5% of my protein. However, I hate chicken breast. I cannot cope with them. So I'm going to show you today how you can trick your body and enjoy the nice dietary food. I'm going to cook today meat cups or cutlets or chops, whatever you want to call it. And all we need for that is 700 grams of minced meat, 500 grams of the onion, and 75 grams of breadcrumbs. Right, since we're waiting for our protein to be done, let's talk some carbs. Personally, I like buckwheat. It's not really popular in the Western world. However, in Russia and Ukraine, it's really popular. And the best thing that the buckwheat has the highest nutrient profile from the grains. So here we have 200 grams of the buckwheat. It's about 690 calories, 26 grams of the protein, 143 grams of the carbs, and 7 grams of the fat. So pretty nice. All we do is just boil for about 20 to 30 minutes. Basically, you can use any type of the carbs you want. For example, I like potato on my dinner because the potato has the highest saturation level, and that's exactly what we need before we go into bed. And let's say potato plus fish has a high saturation level, even higher than the meat. And after some great workout, just what you need to have a nice, good night sleep. Do you feel it? Oh, finally, I haven't been eating like for the last 10 hours. And you know, the best thing about these meat cups or cutlets, that, you know, they taste like they have a lot of calories, they're really fat, but in reality there's almost no fat. But because of the onion, they, you know, so juicy, and this and the breads give like this, you know, taste like you eat really high calorie dense food. So you can try it. You can write in the comment if you try it, if it tasty to you. Right, what about the fruits? What about the vegetables? What is better for you? Can you eat this on your diet? Well, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, it's really tricky thing. There are a lot of diet experts tell you that, oh, you basically don't even need to count the vegetables, the fruits. There's a lot of vitamins, there's a lot of fiber, so it's great, you can go with it. And that's where the cornerstone for all the people who try to lose weight. Because I'm gonna tell you, by eating fruits and vegetables, you can overcompensate any calorie deficit that you're on right now. I mean, is there no calories in a grapefruit? Yes, there's calories. Is it complicated to count the calories? No, it takes about 3-5 minutes. But let's start with the fruits, for example. What do we know about the fruits? In fruits we have a fructose. And what's the difference between fructose and glucose? The fructose does not require insulin to be digested. So when you eat a fruits, the fructose we need mainly for our liver glycogen, and it's about 70 to 90 grams only. That's why you want to be really careful with the fruits, because when your liver glycogen is full and you keep eating fruits, the fructose, again, it doesn't spike your insulin level, so it immediately goes to be stored in your fat. Again, but you don't have to be afraid of the fruits, especially natural one. I'm not talking about the fruit juices, they evil, that's the worst thing in the world. But the fructose has a lot of fibers, a lot of micro elements you can eat. Just try to limit the banana, the grapes, the fruits where you have a lot of sugars, basically. You don't need that amount of sugar. But when it comes to vegetables, that's actually where we get in all those vitamins that our body really needs, especially green and white vegetables, not from the fruits. The ratio between vegetable and food has got to be 5:1 or 10:1. So you gotta have a lot of vegetables in your diet. First of all, there's a lot of fibers, and we need the fibers to digest, especially protein, especially piece of meat. So if you let's say remove the carbs, you still gotta have a lot of vegetables in your meal plan. And again, the vegetables have really low calorie profile, so you can basically add as many as you want, but still count them because calories matter. For example, here you can see that bowl we have here about 1 kilogram of the vegetables. Do you know how much calories is that? 300 calories only. So by eating a lot of vegetables, especially green and white vegetables, you stretching out your stomach, and the signals, the receptors realize that your stomach is full, so they will send a signal to your brain that you're full, so you can also control your hunger, for example. Now let's talk about the most important meal of the day, your breakfast, of course. Probably heard about that. The breakfast is the most important meal. It's increasing your metabolism. If you're not having breakfast, it will destroy your gains, it will destroy your metabolism, you will be hungry. No. Again, the number one rule of our diet is to make you feel comfortable. If you're not hungry, so don't force yourself to eat extra food. If you're not hungry in the morning, perfect. You can put this meal at night. If it helps you to sleep better, go for it. The most important, if you keep under control the amount of calories and the amount of nutrients, protein, carbs, and fat that you have in your meal plan. That's all. That's what really matters. It doesn't increase your metabolism. It's been proven by many researchers. It doesn't help you with the weight loss, with gaining muscles. It's all about your habits. Instead of eating extra calories at night and feel bad about it, just remove those calories from the morning and put them at night, because at about 10 p.m. you have this spike of hunger hormones. That's why we go in to the fridge and want to eat something bad food, and then we feel guilty about it. We have a dopamine dip and we try to compensate the dopamine to make us feel better, and we eat even more and more and more, and etc. If you're not hungry at 8, perfect. You can eat at 10, you can eat at 12 and practice your intermittent fasting, for example. But it doesn't really matter, again, what you should eat when you eat this breakfast, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Personally, you will see what type of food I have on my breakfast. I like breakfast, and I like starting my day with a bowl of ice cream. So my favorite meal looks like cottage cheese, 250 grams. I go with fat-free. Obviously, if you have a fat-free, there's going to be a little bit more carbs to compensate, but it's all right. Most importantly, that's a great source of the protein. It's pretty much the same as a concentrate, protein concentrate, the whey protein, for example. So I just put 250 grams here. There you go, 250 grams. I like make it more like sweet, more ice cream. So here we have the cottage cheese, 250 grams. Then I add a grapefruit. Then I add about 150, 180 grams of grapefruit. So that's basically half of the grapefruit. The grapefruit is one of the best fruit. I like it. I don't really like really sweet fruits. And grapefruit is really great for your liver, rejuvenation, for example. It's a great source of the antioxidant, and that's not really a lot of the sugar. So, right, 250 grams of the cottage cheese, 180 grams of the grapefruit. Then here I have a frozen berries. I just add about 50 grams of frozen cherries, plus 25 grams of blueberries. They're really great for your vision, for your eyes, and it's really taste. Right, and the final ingredient, well, two final ingredients, is Greek yogurt, about 200 grams, and here we have it's a fat-free, 43 calories in 100 grams. 43 calories, that's basically nothing. 200 grams. Plus, I add 10 grams of chia seeds. So our amazing breakfast is ready. Nice big bowl of ice cream, a lot of fruits, a lot of dairy. And by the way, don't be scared about dairy because it is proven that it increases your fullness, makes you more full. It increases the IGF hunger hormone. So basically, it makes you feel more saturated. And that's what we want when we're on a diet, right? To feel full, to feel more comfortable. And do you know how much calories this massive bowl has inside? So we have about 700 grams of the ice cream, and it's about 490 calories only, 60 grams of the protein, 54 grams of the carbs, and only 5 grams of fat. So I think it's just perfect food by amino acid macronutrient profile. It's so tasty. I mean, you can try this on your breakfast. And again, I eat this food basically every day, every morning, but sometimes I can put this at night, in the middle of the day. Again, it's really flexible diet. I just know how much total calories I gotta have on my meal plan a day and the amount of nutrients. You can try this and thank me later. Or basically you can thank me right now. Just subscribe this freaking channel and smash this like as a button on this video if you find this channel interesting, if you find this video interesting. Right, so that's my two main meals of the day, plus this massive bowl of vegetables. Do you know how much is it? It's like 1 kilogram, 200 grams. So there's a lot of vegetables, and do you know how much calories? 300 calories. The total bowl, 300 calories. Imagine that. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to reasonable and unreasonable. For example, you see here, that's healthy nuts, and in 100 grams we have 600 calories. So 100 grams, I mean, I can eat it like in 1 minute. And here we have 1 kilogram, 200 grams of the vegetables.
twice lower calorie content. So that's what I'm talking about. Right, I have here 400 grams of boiled potato plus 300 grams of meatballs. This one I have 100 grams if we weigh dry buckwheat, and again 300 grams of chicken. Plus I can add about 10 grams of some dressings, and I do really like soy. And again, there's no fat, but there's a lot of great carbs. So again, we can eat carbs, we can eat protein, but limit our fat. So that's my main meal. The total amount of calories here is about 900 each. So again, I split the salad over here and over here, and each meal has about 900 calories, 60 grams of the protein, about 140-150 grams of the carbs, and 9 grams of the fat. So I think it's perfect. That's what I eat throughout the day, and that's what I enjoy eating. And by the way, about the salads, all I do, as I told you before, I don't use any dressings. Salt, but all I do is to smash the tomato. This tomato, you see, they really juicy, so they release a lot of juice and water, and that's how you can make your salad really, juicy.
So that's my eating plan for the day. That's what I eat pretty much every single day. The total amount of calories, 2,246 calories, 187 grams of the protein, 350 grams of the carbs, and 30 grams of the fat. And if you're suspicious, you can write down what is wrong with my meal plan. But I mean, that's really flexible eating plan. I can rotate something, I can change something, just add or remove something. I can eat ice cream at night or in the morning. If I'm tired of, the cutlets, I can add egg whites, or I can make an omelette. Just write down how much calories is gonna be. But I'm enjoying the whole food, the simple food. You can see it's really simple recipes. I'm not showing off. That's what I eat every day. Just, it takes about half an hour in the morning to cook everything throughout the day. And how I pick the food. We have two different types of hunger. Type number one, whatever you feel like you won't have this sweet taste with your coffee or tea, it's not the real hunger, it's your wishes and wrong eating habits. Your receptors are adapted for that wrong type of food. So you try to eat this, piece of cake. You think you're hungry, but you're not. Because the second type of the hunger, real hunger, if you feel like you wanna, like a grain, or you want 500 grams of oatmeal, or 1 kilogram of pasta, that's the real hunger. That means you cut off your calories too much. And the rule of this eating plan is basically, if you're not hungry, you don't push, you don't force yourself to eat more. My maximum amount of calories that I can afford myself on a daily basis is 2,500 calories. I'm not supposed to go beyond that number. However, if I'm not hungry, for example, I'm running around, I'm meeting friends, I'm doing something, I can skip one meal, doesn't matter which one, and I have by 500 or maybe 700 calories less, and it's fine. It just boosts my fat burning process faster. But if, let's say today I ate only like 1,000 calories, and doesn't mean that tomorrow I will compensate this deficit. No. I'm not supposed to go beyond this 2,500 calories. So you can see we have a lot of carbs, have a lot of protein, not much of the fat, because I will be compensating this fat from my body. I just add 3 to 5 grams of omega-3, plus I add one more snack, that's the protein milkshake. So eventually I ended up having around 2,500 calories in my meal plan. What about the spreadings? Can you have spreads in your diet? Well, you can have it, just mind calories. Go with the low calorie and fat free ones. Again, nothing's gonna happen with you if you eat, like, add 10 grams of spreads to your food, but it makes food so much better. And again, if it helps you to control your diet, to hold your diet longer, you can use it. Now, what about the drinks? Oh my God, what is this? Is this a Diet Coke? Is this a real nutrition lesson? I mean, what is going on here, Val? Look, I'm not aggravating and forcing anyone to consume the Diet Coke on your diet. However, you shouldn't be afraid of it either. Again, if you want to have a couple of sips, if it makes you feel more comfortable while being in a calorie deficit, once again, you can have it. And basically, why do we even afraid of the Diet Coke? Well, we have this bad, evil thing called aspartame. This is the artificial sweetener. And when we consume the aspartame, when you heat the aspartame in your stomach, it breaks down into three components, 2 amino acids. And by the way, those amino acids are essential. That means our body needs these amino acids to live. Phenylalanine and asparagous acid. They're absolutely safe. But the third component, methanol, you probably heard about that component. That's the poison. It poisons your body, so you're gonna die. And do you know how much of methanol we have in 1 liter of Diet Coke? About 60 milliliters of methanol. In orange juice, there's about 140 milligrams of methanol. In fat-burning pineapple juice, there's about 110. In wine, if you like wine, the FDA approves to be up to 1,000 milligrams of methanol per 1 liter of wine. So if you like wine, don't tell me about the harm from the Diet Coke. Again, methanol is well excreted from our body. Our body can detox easily. And if you want to die from methanol by consuming Diet Coke, you gotta drink at least 80 liters of Diet Coke every single day for the next couple of years. So wish you luck with that. Again, the problem is not the product, the problem is not the ingredient. It's really easy to find some products, find some food and blame in all the problems in your life. The problem is not the insulin, the problem is not the cholesterol, the problem is your lifestyle. You gotta look in the perspective. You gotta find the real problem, the complex problem, and this problem called obesity. Right, let's summarize, let's make a conclusion. What the hell you gotta do with all that information that you just heard? So I'm gonna give you a couple of rules that's gonna make your life so much easier. Number one, if it fits your macros, you gotta count how much macronutrients your body needs in order to be in a perfect shape. Protein, carbs, and fat, 2 to 1 gram per 1 kilogram of your body weight. That's how much macronutrients you need in order to look great. Then you count how much calories is that. That's the rule number 2. You gotta be in a calorie deficit for about 10%. But a little life hack, if you count your macronutrients correctly, you will automatically be in a calorie deficit for about 10%. So you don't have to count the calories in that case. And if we need macronutrients for our body composition to look great, the calories only matter in terms of your total body weight, general body weight. And the reason why we gotta be in a calorie deficit for about 10%, because in that case, your body will be compensated, will be forced to compensating that 10% from our own energy reserves. Number one, your body try to get rid of your muscles. That's exactly why we have resistance training to keep our muscles. Number two, try to burn out all the fast and powerful fuel, glucose or glycogen, liver glycogen and the muscular glycogen. That's why we exercise hard in the gym to burn out all the glycogen, and only in that case your body will be forced to start using your triglycerides, your fat. However, some people ended up with the same weight or they can even gain weight by the end of the program. but you're gonna be looking so much better because again, you're gonna change your body composition. Two people with exact same weight can look totally different. It's all about the proportion and your body composition, the water retention, and the fat muscle ratio. Sounds simple, but in reality, when it comes to actions, 90% of the people will disappear. Because it's always uncomfortable to make some changes in your life, to change your body, to change your life. Because it's way more easier to do whatever you do every single day without changing and blame someone else. A really important moment: in order for you to lose weight, you gotta keep the negative calorie content, and doesn't matter how many times you eat a day. The split meal plan is not speeding up your metabolism. It's a scientific proven fact. So it doesn't matter how many times you eat a day, even if you eat like once a day, even if you eat once in a night, even if it's cheesecakes or bacon, if you will be in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. So from the physique point of view, we're doing everything right, we're cool, but our body doesn't live by the physical rules, it lives by the physiological rules. We have different chemical reactions in our body, we have different metabolic processes, and they all have different speed, different spikes of cortisol, different spikes of growth hormone, insulin. Even for example, when we exercise, we create in the muscular synthesis and the glycogen resynthesis. So we gotta have some nutrient after our workout to compensate those needs in protein and carbohydrates, and you can feed all the nutrients in one meal. For example, the refilling of the glycogen stores in your muscles takes about 36 to 48 hours. You try to put all the carbs in one meal, you can absorb them. And some of the calories, yes, some of the carbs will go to refill your glycogen. However, the rest of them, the leftovers, where do you think they're gonna go? They're gonna go into your fat. And by the way, about the fats, it's really tricky thing because throughout the day we spend some amount of fat because our metabolism, our basal metabolic rate works mainly on our fat, long-lasting fuel source. So let's say you burn like 100 grams of fat every single day. So what does that mean? You can eat 100 grams of the fat and you spend this 100 grams of the fat. So basically you ended up with the 0 calories, right? Sounds cool from the physics point of view, we're doing everything great. But in reality, how everything works, when you eat, let's say, a cheesecake or a piece of meat where there's a lot of fat, do we use this fat immediately? No. The fat always goes to our own fat storage. But when we are starving, when we're not having enough food, do we start using the fat from our belly immediately? No. Only at the very end, our body will be forced to start using the fat. Before, as I told you before, your body will burn your muscles, will burn your glycogen, and only when it's no other way to go, start using your fat. If you eat once a day and you're not having resistance training to stimulate your protein synthesis in your muscles, you can remain the weight, but your active cellular mass start shrinking, but the fat mass, the amount of fat mass start to raise. So you can weigh exactly the same as you weighed 10 years ago. You can even lose the weight, but in reality you look way worse because you have no muscles, you have a lot of fat, and here you go, that's how you have this not good looking body composition. And it's not only about looking great, looking attractive, it's about the health. One more funny thing, the hormone called progesterone. When a girl is on the period or the girl is getting pregnant, this hormone goes through the roof, and this hormone is make your intestinal motility slows down. So from the same amount of food, you absorb way more nutrients now. Funny. Thermic effect of food. Fat and carbs have a lower TEF, the protein has a high TEF, so by changing your macronutrients on your plate, you ended up with different amount of calories. 2,000 calories from the cheesecake and 2,000 calories from the chicken breast. 2,000 calories, right, equal, but in reality, when we absorb the nutrients, we ended up with different amount of calories. Funny, right? So there's so many different parameters. It's just what pumped into my mind. But if we start talking about your neurotransmitters, your endocrine system work, we ended up by having more than 100 variables that will determine on how you're gonna feel and how you're gonna look. So that's why, calorie equal calorie, to put it mildly, is not really scientific approach. But why do we even want this sweet, fat and salt taste in our meal plan? Why do we want this piece of cake or slice of pizza? Well, the answer is simple, called reward system. Each and any of us have this reward system or reinforcement system. It encourages us for some actions in order for us to survive. At least this system worked pretty well 10,000 years ago, but right now it ruins our life. And that's a question about the motivation. In reality, whatever you want is food, sex, and domination. And your brain works, your reward system works in that way. It sends the neurotransmitters to your brain, and whatever brought you the pleasure before, you try to get more and more of it. So, for example, the dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and it's not the pleasure hormone as everyone thinks. It's actually a reinforcement hormone. It makes your brain remembering whatever brought you the most pleasure before, and when it's going to be the rough time, you try to compensate with a dopamine level, whatever brought you pleasure before. It may be alcohol, it may be cigarettes, porn, or high-calorie-dense food. That's why when people ask me how to get a motivation, how to get a willpower, how to change your life, how to achieve this and how to achieve that, impossible. Until you're reinforcing your reward system with the same type of pleasure that you did before, nothing's gonna change in your life. The food is the most simple way to get dopamine into your reward system. It's the simplest way and the most socially accepted way to get enjoyment and the pleasure in your life. What's the scenario that makes us doing the things that we know not right? Either playing video games, watching porn, eat fat, high-calorie dense food, drink alcohol. When you have the stress in your life, when you have a stress in your central nervous system, and it doesn't matter what kind of stress is going to be, mental stress, emotional stress, physical stress, different aspects of our central nervous system work in a different way, but we get stressed and you try to stop it. So you have a dopamine dip. I don't know, maybe the boss screaming at you at your work, or I don't know, your wife is cheating on you, or it's rainy today. So you have a stress, you have a dopamine dip, and you try to compensate this dopamine with alternative sources. And again, whatever your brain remembered before that brought you the most pleasure, you will compensate with that stuff. Again, it's either going to be alcohol, video games, and etc. Or in our case, it's going to be food. So how to stop it? How to do what is right? Again, you can't stop it. You can't, stop thinking about something. You can only replace your thoughts with something else. Whatever brings you the most pleasure, whatever you like, really like. I don't know. I like video games, I like drinks sometimes. When I feel really bad, I try to compensate my dopamine level with these bad sources, because that's the most quicker and the simple way to feel myself better. So how we can fight with this? Well, we gotta find the alternative way to get the dopamine hormone in our reward system. And the only way how to find out whatever brings us the most pleasure is to try different things. Try to travel, try to go to some new places, try new type of sports, try meeting new people. You gotta try, and only in that case you will understand what makes you happy, because that's all we want, to be happy all the time. And the less body fat percentage you have, more excitement you gotta have in your life. Your life has got to be so exciting. That's by the way the question. Why, let's say you're looking at social media and you see those fitness models and girls, they look so great, they have the six-pack, their body looks so perfect. And again, it's not because of the genetic. They work really hard and they on a really strict diet. And then you ask how this person can be, you know, in a calorie deficit, how this girl can eat 800 calories and stay in shape all year long. What about the hormones? What about the endocrine system? What about other pleasure in our life? Look, it's really simple for them to keep this lifestyle because they have so much interesting stuff that is going on in their life. They have alternative sources of dopamine. That's what we're talking about. If you look at Dwayne Johnson and you get motivated how, you know, powerful he is, how inspiring he is, he works out every single day at 4 a.m. Look, you cannot be the Dwayne Johnson immediately because you not have this type of dopamine sources that he has. You're not playing movies, you're not playing in the commercials, you're not in the newspaper pages, you're not in the Forbes. So, I mean, you cannot repeat him, but again, he is not born like this. He became who he is right now, and that's what we're doing here as well. You cannot achieve something only with the willpower. Eventually, you're gonna break, and the road back is gonna be that strong that you're never gonna repeat this experience again. You gotta negotiate with yourself. You gotta find out and ask yourself the question, what really makes you happy? You gotta find out what really makes you happy, and if it ruins your life, if it ruins your body, you gotta try to find the alternative sources of the dopamine level in your system, or sometimes give your body what it needs. If you feel like you've been strict to yourself, you work really hard, and there's a party, and there's a celebration, the birthday of your friend, and there's gonna be the alcohol, don't be bad about drinking some amount of alcohol. Again, the normal human being is not looking for some date to do something bad. You know, I can eat whatever I want pretty much any day. You know, if I feel like I want a pizza, you know, I'm dreaming about pizza at night, that means my calorie consumption is too low and I can afford myself to eat this slice of pizza. And you know what's funny? When you can make a deal with yourself, when you can make a deal, okay, all right, today, tomorrow, I'm gonna be on a diet, I'm gonna be working out hard, but day after tomorrow, I can go out to meet my friends, to eat something what I like. And when it's a show time and you can actually do whatever you like, you realize that you not really want this a lot. You can easily, you know, remove this from your life. You can easily avoid this. You can easily find some other source of the pleasure. The anticipation of the upcoming pleasure makes you feel way happier than the actual process of getting this pleasure. The waiting for Christmas is makes you feel way more happier than the actual Christmas. I don't know, it just worked for me. That's the example. And you know, a lot of people, as you saw my meal plan, and some people think, oh my God, how you can eat this every day? It's so boring. I mean, there's not excitement in that type of food. Well, there are two moments. Number one, you have a wrong eating behavior. That means your receptors adapted for the wrong type of food, the unnatural type of food, where there's a lot of salt, cheese, and fat. And again, by the way, about the pleasure and reward system, whatever bring you the pleasure, whatever spike your dopamine, your body is getting tolerance. So that means you have the increase of upcoming signal of dopamine. That means more alcohol, more video games, more food, and the only way how to change it is to go out and try new things. And number two, as I told you, the food for me is not the main source of the pleasure. There's so many different exciting things in my life that, you know, the food for me is just the macronutrients that my body needs in order to look great. You know, I feel way more happier to look how changing my body in the mirror. I feel more happier that my energy level is going through the roof, that I'm becoming more attractive, I'm becoming more confident. So the food cannot give me the same level of enjoyment, the same level of dopamine. The anticipation for upcoming great shape of my body, the anticipation for photo set, for the way how I'm gonna feel makes me way more happier than the enjoyment of, I don't know, piece of cake right now. So the food for me is just a tool for achieving my goals. Even though I do really like this fast food, I like McDonald's, I like pizza, I like sometimes going out and drink, I like smoking shisha, but it's all about the balance, right? The only way how to, the only thing matters is in the long run. Whatever you do in the long run, if you I don't know, ate today 2 times only, but tomorrow you ate 5 times, nothing's gonna happen to you, because your body doesn't count how many times you eat a day. The only matter is the long run. Whatever you do in the long run, every single day, little steps, but every day, remember that. So the only way how to control yourself, how to be on a diet forever, all your life. I know it sounds terrible, but in reality, it's just my lifestyle. That's all I do every day with no struggle. So the only way how to keep it is to not allowing yourself to have a lot of stress, to have the dopamine dip that you try to compensate with other, and the most simple and fastest way of getting dopamine level into your system. So you gotta have this balance in your life. So hopefully that was a useful lesson. Hopefully you got something from it. And again, if you have some question, you can leave the comment below. You can subscribe my Instagram, ask me there. I'm seeing all the questions, all the comments, and try to reply to each and any of them. And see you quite soon. The next video will be workout number 2. It's going to be really tough one, so you want to be ready for it. Cheers, guys.